And here we go. Another video that I've been waiting to do. So, again, one of the main things that I and many people can't get past is we have way too many swing voters, way too many independent voters, way too many undecided voters, way too many people who stayed home. So, I keep hearing the same thing. I see some of these people going up on television and doing podcasts saying that people either left the Democratic Party to go to the Republicans or they stayed home and not voted because they think both parties are the same, because neither party, especially the Democrats, isn't looking out for workers or talking about doing policies that put money into people's pockets and to help them financially. Well, and then also here's another thing I keep hearing. Another thing I keep hearing is, well, Kamala Harris didn't really talk policy and nobody can tell me one thing that she was proposing. Well, guess what? That's why I'm here. Because there are 5 major things that she proposed. 5. So, here are the 5 things. 1, expand the child tax credit to $6,000. 2, $25,000 down payment subsidy on first-time home buyers, for first-time home buyers. 3, eliminate medical debt. 4, allow Medicare to include at-home health care. And 5, ban price gouging. Now, if you don't think that any of those things make sense, let's go through them. Let's go through them right here. I have a feeling that this is going to be a pretty big video. I can't promise you how long this is going to be. It could be 10 minutes, it could be 50 minutes. We'll see. Now, the first one. Kamala Harris proposed extending the child tax credit to $6,000. Now, here's the deal. So, this proposal to extend the CTC builds upon existing efforts to provide financial relief to families. Here's a breakdown of the key points and the potential benefits of this policy. Now, before I start reading this, just throwing it out here. In case you didn't know this, and I wish the Democrats had been more vocal about it, but this is a fact. This is not speculation. This is not a narrative. This is not my opinion. This is a fact. President Biden expanded he did the child tax credit for $3,000. So here's how that policy went. It was $3,000 per child if the child was anywhere between ages 6 to 17. Any child that was under the age of 6, it was $3,600. And guess what that policy did as a result? It lifted millions of low-income families, especially families of color, out of poverty. And Harris talked about raising that to $6,000. You're telling me that's not beneficial? So here's the thing. Let me get into it. Here's the key points of this policy. You have 5 key points to this policy. Number 1, increased credit amount. The policy raises the current maximum CTC from $3,000 to $6,000 per child annually. Families with 2 children can receive up to $12,000 per year in credits. Number 2, it's fully refundable. Unlike traditional tax credits that only benefit families with taxable income, this policy ensures full refundability, meaning even families with low or no taxable income would benefit. 3, advanced payments. The proposal supports monthly or periodic payments instead of a lump sum at tax time, similar to the temporary expansion of the CTC under the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, which was signed into law by President Biden. Number 4, eligibility expansion. The credit would be targeted at middle and low income families, helping those most in need while boosting economic security for working families. 5, focus on simplicity. The policy aims to make applying for and receiving the credit straightforward, reducing bureaucratic barriers. Now, here are some of the benefits of that policy. Here's 6 major benefits of that policy. 1, it reduces child poverty. Direct financial support helps families cover essential costs such as food, housing, and healthcare, significantly reducing poverty rates, particularly among children. 2, it boosts family stability. By providing predictable monthly income, families can better budget for their needs, reducing financial stress. 3, it stimulates local economies. Families are likely to spend this additional income on goods and services in their communities, contributing to local economic growth. 4, improves child outcomes. Research shows that reducing financial hardship leads to better outcomes for children, including improved education, health, and overall well-being. 5, supports working families. The credit provides extra resources to help parents cover child care costs, enabling them to work or pursue education without sacrificing their family's well-being. Six, builds on successful policies. The temporary expansion of the CTC in 2021 proved effective in lifting millions of children out of poverty, providing a proven model for this policy. Now, here are some challenges. The expanded CTC would require significant federal funding, which would face political resistance. Gee, I wonder from who. Implementation. Ensuring families, especially those without stable income, receive the credit could require improved outreach and administrative systems. This policy would represent a significant investment in families and children aiming to reduce poverty and support working families while providing a pathway toward economic security for millions of households. Okay, stop right there and think about that. So, all these people that couldn't vote for Harris in November because they said, oh, well, she wasn't proposing anything that was really trying to help working families and she wasn't talking about poverty and all that. That policy alone, it would be proven to lift millions of families out of poverty. How do I know that? Because, as I have to repeat myself, when President Biden did the $3,000 child tax credit, that lifted millions of families and children out of poverty. And so what she's saying is, I'll double that. The people that she ran against were not saying anything about it. As a matter of fact, they had a vote in there were two times in which they had a vote to expand the child tax credit. The first time was in 2021, as they had alluded to in the American Rescue Plan Act, where when Joe Biden did the $3,000, so we had enough support in both chambers of the Congress to do so. We had the House and we had the Senate that passed. Of course, Kamala Harris was the tiebreaker. She was the vote that broke the tie, and she voted yes on it, and of course, Biden signed it. Now, they had another vote for the child tax credit, I think in 2023. It was either late 23 or early 24. And guess what? We already know the first time every single Republican voted against it. And this time, 48 or 49 Republicans voted against it. And guess who dodged the vote? J.D. Vance, who at the time was a senator in Ohio. And so, look who voted for it and who tried to give it to you, and look who was against it. And why all these independent, moderate, swing, undecided voters, how they didn't see that, or even if they did see that, it would be worse if they knew it and still didn't vote for her, because they chose to go along with all the rhetoric of, well, she's not going on Joe Rogan's show, and she's not talking to anybody on Fox News, and she's only talking to the think-alike programs that support her, like Drew Barrymore and Howard Stern and Whoopi Goldberg and Alice Cooper. And it's like, guys, when did we get to a point where that was more important than the policy that she's proposing? You know, it's funny. I admit, I wasn't that politically savvy like in 2016 or before that. So most of the criticisms against Trump and the Republicans were more so character-based and personality-based. And people always kept telling me, well, focus on the policy. It's the policy that matters. And this time around, when I give policy on the things that Biden did, most of which I like, some of which I dislike, and the stuff that Harris proposed for 2024, you know what I still get, well, that's not good enough. How the hell is a $6,000 child tax credit not good enough for you? But it's okay, there's more. So that was the child tax credit policy. The next policy that she proposed was she proposed up to $25,000 in down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. Now, I asked ChatGPT to explain this policy and break down the key points and the benefits. Now, here's the deal. Here are the key points. 4 key points. Number 1, target audience. The proposal primarily focuses on first-time home buyers from low and middle income backgrounds, particularly aiming to assist those from historically disadvantaged communities that face barriers to home ownership. Number 2, direct assistance. The policy would offer up to $25,000 in down payment assistance, helping eligible buyers make an initial payment on a home and reduce the financial burden of closing costs. Number 3, eligibility criteria. The assistance would likely include requirements based on income, potentially helping those within certain income brackets relative to their area. Specific details of who qualifies and how the program would work may vary based on legislative approval. Number 4, equity and anti-discrimination focus. This policy seeks to address the long-standing racial and economic disparities in home ownership rates by focusing on communities that have historically been excluded from wealth-building opportunities through home ownership. Now, here are 5 benefits from that policy. Number 1, increases accessibility. By helping cover the down payment, the policy lowers a significant barrier for first-time buyers, making home ownership a reality for more people who would otherwise struggle to save enough money. Number two, it builds generational wealth. Owning a home is one of the primary ways families build wealth in the U.S. This assistance can help individuals and families from disadvantaged communities begin to build and pass down wealth through poverty ownership. I'm sorry, did I say that right? Did I say poverty or did I? Property. Property. I don't know. I'm off right now, people. Forgive me. Through property ownership. Number three, reduces wealth gaps. The focus on historically marginalized groups aims to reduce wealth disparities. By giving these communities better access to home ownership, the policy can help close racial and economic wealth gaps. Number four, stimulates local economies. Increasing home ownership rates can stimulate local economies as homeowners invest in their communities, pay property taxes, and support local businesses. This boost in economic activity can lead to more vibrant neighborhoods and higher property values over time. Number five, it promotes financial stability. Home ownership often brings greater financial stability and could lead to better educational and health outcomes. By enabling more people to buy homes, this policy supports long-term stability and security for families. This proposal highlights Kamala Harris's commitment to making housing more affordable and addressing disparities in economic opportunity through targeted assistance. It would depend on broader legislation approval, but could potentially transform access to home ownership for many Americans. Again, to all you people that didn't vote for Harris in 2024, that keep saying she's not doing anything to address our needs and our financial struggles and this and that and communist and socialist and blah blah blah. Guys, do you know this stuff? Do you know this stuff? And so that's why part of me hopes that she does run again in 2028, because maybe I can do a better job of actually talking about these things and promoting it and emphasizing it next time around. Last time there was only 3 months in the campaign, so that was her main disadvantage. But there's a part of me that just kind of wants her to run again. And if she doesn't, I'll be glad to promote Newsom, Shapiro, by which I mean Josh Shapiro, J.B. Pritzker, or Tim Walz, or whoever else is like the front runner or the favorite for that time being. So there's that. Number three, banning price gouging. Now, this is the one where a lot of conservatives and right-wingers and business people will sit there and tell you, well, that doesn't make any sense. That's just Marxist. That's just communist. That's socialism. We don't do that here. You don't do what here? You don't have it to where people aren't paying an insane amount in groceries because they have to feed themselves. They got to feed their kids. They got to take care of things. All right, here we go. So the ban on price gouging. So here are 5 key points to that. Number one, federal ban on price gouging. The proposal would make it illegal for corporations to dramatically increase prices of essential goods and services during crises. Pandemics, natural disasters, and economic emergencies. Number two, targeting corporate profiteering. The ban directly aims at big corporations that use emergencies as a cover to inflate prices on items like gas, groceries, baby formula, or medical supplies. Let me stop right there right quick. So I remember in 2021 or 2, when Democrats introduced something in the House to fight against them doing price gouging on things like the groceries and the baby formula and even the gas. Guess who voted against it? The Republicans did. Every single one of them. I remember when Marjorie Greene had stood in front of the Congress and she said, we need to stop worrying about all the culture war stuff and we have a shortage of baby formula in this country, and we need to focus on that because baby formula, and we need to have the money for the baby formula, just all that stuff, blah blah blah. Well, guess what? The Democrats introduced something to invest money into getting us more baby formula, and she voted against that. Let's continue. Number 3, enforcement mechanisms. Federal agencies like the Federal Trade Commission and Department of Justice would be empowered to investigate, fine, and prosecute violators. Number 4, transparency and accountability. Companies could be required to justify price increases, show supply chain disruptions or other legitimate reasons, or face penalties. And by the way, for people who are saying that this doesn't work, Well, it actually has worked in some states because I think there was about 5 or 6 states where they did actually kind of control the whole thing with the price gouging because they were saying, listen, this is not like a deep, you don't have to be like some type of Einstein level intellectual to understand this. It doesn't make any sense that conservatives and right wingers oppose this because if you're saying that your main complaint is, and by the way, when I say conservatives and right wingers, I'm not even talking about the politicians. I'm talking about the voters. Okay, listen, I'm not scared to hold voters accountable. It's easy to hold politicians accountable, but somebody's got to confront the voters. I mean, good grief, am I the only one doing this? Listen, if your thing is you're against that policy, then you don't have a right to complain about high prices. So if you're saying that you go into a Walmart or a Meijer or a Kroger or a Target or wherever you normally shop at, and you used to pay, let's say, whether it be for yourself or whether it's you and your spouse or your kids, let's say if you were spending money on yourself, you'd probably spend about, I don't know, 40 to 50 bucks. If you have a family of people, you're spending, let's say, I'm just throwing out a random generic number right here because it really depends on family to family, depends on who you ask. But let's say you spend somewhere around $150. Well, what they're saying is that this policy would make it to where instead of spending that, you'd be spending about 90 to 100. Just throwing out generic numbers right here. Depends on what exactly you buy and how much of it you buy. And so if you're saying, hey, I spend way too much money on groceries, well, we have an idea. We can propose a law that forces these conglomerates, these corporations, these companies to not raise their prices so high because them raising their prices high goes against you, and that's why you're struggling to afford stuff. So we're trying to do you a favor by telling them to lower their prices so that it better helps you. And the people that you would say that to, guess what they would say? Oh, but that's socialism. Oh, but that's communism. That's Marxism. And you know the main thing that upsets me about that response is that it makes me realize how much more effective Fox News and Newsmax are at selling stuff to their audience than any other source, the CNNs, the NBCs, and all that. I mean, they have successfully convinced people that doing anything good for people is just bad. And these people are poor and struggling and broke, and they want to look out for the people that screwed them over. Guys, stop worrying about us telling corporations what to do. You're the one struggling. We're trying to help you out here. But you're defending them. You're not part of them. They don't give a damn about you. That's why you're struggling. There's articles that came out in 2021 and 2022 that showed and exposed that corporations were purposely raising prices on stuff and then blaming it on inflation, and then they blamed it on Biden. And I think the main reason why Biden and Harris didn't call that out is because they assumed that people were smart enough to see through that. Well, guess what? They were massively, massively wrong on that one. Because most Americans have the attention span of a gnat. Some people have the attention span of an inanimate object, a piece of dust. People don't know this stuff. And that's why Democrats have to be more vocal about this stuff. Because how are they going to argue against it? Number 5, nationwide standards. Instead of relying on state level laws, which vary widely, this would create a uniform national standard against price gouging. Now, here are the benefits of this policy. There are 6 benefits to this policy. Number 1, it protects working families. Price gouging hits low and middle income families hardest, especially during crises. This ban ensures people aren't exploited when they're most vulnerable. Number 2, pushback against corporate greed. Progressives see price gouging as a symptom of unchecked capitalism. This policy fights back against the corporate exploitation and price manipulation. Number 3, it promotes economic justice. Preventing unjust price hikes promotes a fairer economy, ensuring essential goods remain affordable to all, not just the wealthy. Supports small businesses. Small businesses often can't compete with large corporations that manipulate prices. This helps level the playing field. Number 5, crisis resilience. During disasters or pandemics, stabilizing prices helps keep society functioning. It reduces panic buying and improves public trust in the system. So for people who sit there and say, well, corporations can do whatever they want, and they're the businesses, and they're the ones who are rich and they have all the money. Well, let me take an extreme hypothetical here. Let's say that they continue to raise the prices higher and higher and higher. You have a lot of the poor and working class people that they just can't afford it, and now they can't buy anything. And let's just say they die as a result of not affording stuff because they can't eat, they can't do anything. My question is, and this is a very extreme hypothetical question, but I'm trying to figure out what is it that the wealthy expect to happen with this country? You want the wealthy to get wealthier. You want the poor to get poorer. So when all the poor people die off, and then all the working class people die off, and some of the middle class dies off, then who are the wealthy going to make their money from then? Because nobody's going to buy stuff. And so it's like, what do you expect? Everybody's a human being. Everybody deserves to buy groceries to fill their fridge and not have to empty out their bank accounts to do so. It's just basic common sense. It's a basic human aspect that people should just be able to function in life and just buy the stuff that they need to buy, especially for the people who have families, especially people who have kids, especially like toddlers and preteens and teenagers. They need to buy groceries. People need to eat. And so, and people, I'm sick and tired of the whole panic buying thing, because that's why when you went into the stores and you saw empty shelves, because people were buying the hell out of toilet paper and paper towels and plates and cups or just whatever you could think of. And there's nothing wrong with the idea of wanting to reduce that. Better yet, eliminate it, but at least start off by reducing it. Where was I at? Level the playing field. Okay, number 6, transparency and consumer rights. Holding companies accountable boosts consumer protections and demands greater corporate responsibility. Now here's the progressive framing summary. No one should have to choose between feeding their family and filling their gas tank, especially during a crisis. Price gouging is corporate exploitation at its worst, and Kamala Harris's ban is a bold step towards economic fairness and justice. Now, did I do the... Okay, I did that. So I did the 3 policies. So I did the child tax credit, the down payment assistance, and the price gouging. Okay, so here's number 4 out of 5. Here's number 4. 4 is... So she proposed a policy that would allow Medicare to include at-home health care. So what does this mean? What are the key points and what are the benefits? So here are some key points to it. Expand Medicare coverage to include at-home services. This proposal would require Medicare to cover in-home healthcare services such as skilled nursing care, physical therapy, occupational therapy, chronic illness management, and assistance with activities of daily living such as bathing and dressing. Support for long-term and aging populations. The policy especially targets elderly, disabled, and chronically ill individuals who want to age in place rather than go into nursing homes. Number 3, federal investment in home and community-based services. Kamala Harris supports major federal funding to states to expand access to in-home care and reduce wait lists for services under Medicaid waivers. Better wages and training for caregivers. The proposal also includes improving wages, benefits, and training for home care workers, many of whom are women of color and immigrants. Equity and accessibility focus. There is a special focus on eliminating racial and economic disparities in access to quality home care. Now, here's 6 major benefits of the policy. Number 1, healthcare that prioritizes dignity and autonomy. Allowing people to receive care at home respects their dignity, independence, and comfort, especially for aging Americans. It prevents unnecessary institutionalization, which can be traumatic and expensive. Number 2, cost-effective and reduces healthcare spending. In-home care is significantly less costly than hospital or nursing home stays, reducing emergency room visits and hospital readmissions by providing proactive in-home care saves Medicare and taxpayers money in the long run. Invests in the undervalued home care workforce. Raises wages for millions of unpaid care workers, boosting the economy and addressing labor shortages. Ensures higher quality care through better training and support. Promotes health equity. It expands care access to rural areas, communities of color, and low-income families who often face barriers to institutional care. It helps close the gap between those who can afford private in-home care and those who cannot. It supports family caregivers and reduces burnout, relieves pressure on unpaid family caregivers, mostly women, by providing professional support in the home. It reduces stress, burnout, and economic hardship faced by families caring for loved ones. Aging with dignity empowers older Americans to age safely and comfortably in their own homes with medical care that meets their needs. Now, so many people would see Kamala Harris's proposal as a progressive expansion of Medicare that aligns with core values: healthcare as a right, respect for human dignity, economic justice for workers, and care for the most vulnerable. It brings us closer to a compassionate, equitable, and more cost-efficient healthcare system for everyone. And and by the way, when people sit there and say healthcare is not a right, so you're saying it's not a right to want to have something that helps people live? That's funny because, it's funny that people on the right say healthcare is not a right, but healthcare is one of the things that helps a person live, and I thought you guys were supposed to be pro-life. Oh, I forgot. The only time that you're pro-life is just not wanting a woman to have an abortion. That's right. What am I thinking? And number five. Number five is eliminating medical debt. Now, here are some key policy actions. Removal of medical debt from credit reports. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has finalized a rule that eliminates $49 billion in unpaid medical debts from the credit reports of 15 million Americans. This action ensures that medical debt no longer adversely affects individuals' credit scores, facilitating access to loans for homes, cars, and small businesses. State and local debt relief initiatives. Leveraging funds from the American Rescue Plan Act, states and localities have already abolished over $1 billion in medical debt for more than 700,000 Americans. These efforts are projected to eliminate approximately $15 billion in medical debt for nearly 6 million people by 2026. Now, keep in mind, the Biden administration did reduce medical debt from almost $200 billion down to about $88 billion, and that helped about 9 million Americans, maybe just over 9 million Americans. So here's some fast facts. Impact on credit scores. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau estimates that removing medical debt from credit reports will raise affected individuals' credit scores by an average of 20 points, potentially leading to 22,000 additional mortgage approvals annually. Prevalence of medical debt. Medical debt is the largest source of debt in collections in the U.S., surpassing credit cards, utilities, and auto loans. It disproportionately affects women, people with disabilities, and Black Americans. Now, what are the benefits of this? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Number one, advancement of economic equity. By removing medical debt from credit reports, the policy addresses systemic barriers that have historically limited economic opportunities for marginalized communities. Number two, promotion of healthcare as a right. This initiative aligns with the belief that access to healthcare should not result in financial ruin, reinforcing the principle that healthcare is a fundamental human right. Number three, reduction of predatory practices. The policy includes measures to crack down on predatory debt collection tactics, ensuring that individuals are not exploited due to medical emergencies. Number four, stimulation of economic mobility. Improved credit scores can lead to increased access to capital, enabling individuals to invest in homes, education, and businesses, thereby stimulating broader economic growth. In summary, Vice President Harris's policy to eliminate medical debt is viewed by many as a transformative step towards rectifying economic disparities and affirming the government's role in safeguarding the well-being of its citizens. So there you go. Those are the five policies. $6,000 child tax credit, $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers, banning price gouging, allowing Medicare to include at-home health care, and elimination of medical debt. So when you have all these people that go around saying, oh, the Democrats, they're not looking out for the workers, and we can't find anything where they show that they're supporting the working class and the middle class and the poor. And so we're either conflicted or we might just vote for the Republicans as a way to give the Democrats the middle finger. Well, Kamala Harris does have some good policies. We don't know what she has. We can't find anything. Guys, what in the hell are you struggling to find? Just based on all those things alone right there. Now, I'm sure there's people out there who supported Harris probably even more so than I did, that were way more excited about her, and people that probably worked closely with her, they can probably give you more policies. But just based on those five alone, guys, that is way further than I thought that somebody like her would go in as far as the campaign in a presidential election. Especially for a moderate establishment politician like her, those are great. And so when the average person hears that, what is the thing that's making them say, no, I don't like that, or no, I don't support it, or no, I don't believe it? Again, forget about the far right. They don't support any of those things. They probably don't know what any of those things mean. They could listen to this video and still not know a damn thing. But independent, swing, and moderate voters, guys, what's the problem? What is the problem? Those are good things. You guys talk about economic mobility economic growth and supporting working families and taking care of the kids. Those things do all of that. Like, what's the issue? Are you that concerned about her not going on Joe Rogan? You're willing to put her absence from a podcast ahead of your own personal and financial needs? So these are the things that Democrats need to be talking about more and more. I'm actually leaning more and more towards, should she run for president again in 2028 because she only had a 3-month campaign last year? I would say I'm like 65% yes on that. And I just say, you know what? Guys, listen, I'm sorry to say this. I just have no faith in a lot of America right now. I just don't. And if she runs again, listen, Harris is going to have to repeat those things and add more policies to that. Democrats need to talk about this, and every Democrat who promoted her should have been talking about this. And any of my Democrat, liberal, and left-wing friends who want to promote her again, you have to repeat those things. Guys, I'm asking you to do me one major favor. And this isn't necessarily just for me. It's more so for the Democrats and for the country. Share this video. And also, side note, subscribe to my YouTube. If you're watching this on Facebook, the link to my YouTube is in the comment section. You go to my About section. I have the links to everything. My About section on Facebook and YouTube have all the links to my Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. All that is on there. Those are the only social media profiles I have. If you see anything else with my name on it, it's fake. So, guys, I mean, just somebody look at all those things that I listed and just tell me, do you actually sincerely think those are bad policies? Do you actually think that's not going to help the economy? You actually think it's not going to help the working class? It's not going to help the middle class? It's not going to help the poor? Not going to help the kids? Like, what is the bad thing about those policies that you think is just so horrific that you couldn't vote for her? I mean, come on. No Republican, I haven't heard a single Republican politician articulately argue against any of those things. So you know what? Again, thank you to everybody who voted for Harris in 2024. I was very glad to have done that. And listen, I'll be glad to do it again. And I mean, wow. I just don't believe this. I don't believe this. When we attack politicians based on character and personality, they say, well, no, don't talk about that. Focus on the policy. And then when you finally do focus on the policy, guess what they say? Oh, well, it's, and it doesn't make sense because people on Fox News and Newsmax told me that it was communist and socialist and this and that and the thing and we can't and something blah, blah, blah. Guys, I'm telling you, this last election has really, really has made me want to quit politics. But I said, I'm going to give it 2 more strikes. Okay. We got to see how the midterms do in 2026. If we lose that, I say the very last thing that I have is the 2028 presidential election. And if we don't win that election, I'm for sure quitting politics. And nobody can tell me otherwise. So, guys, research, read, learn, educate, inform. Hashtag SOMER, SOMER. Strategize, organize, mobilize, energize, realize. Hashtag Vero, VERO. Vote every Republican out. Share my hashtags and share this video. Until next time, stay tuned.